welcome to Podcast First Player, episode 279. I'm one of your hosts, Cal, and as always, I'm joined by a man whose girlfriend said he's too kinky. He almost choked on his own spunk.
That's really good.
It's only bloody Dan.
Hello.
Hello, sunshine. It's Wednesday. It's raining. We're back to normal.
Awful rain today. Yes, very. Like, it has not stopped all day. It's been torrential all fucking day. It's awful.
I had a bit of a break picking Logan up from school. That's the only time it didn't rain, so I was quite pleased about that. But otherwise, it's just been a shitty, grey, miserable day. But
really
Dan,
has.
I'm going to cheer you up.
I doubt it.
Yeah, unlikely, because both Let's and News are shit. But before we go and just bring everyone's day down with that, go and look at the store. And you can get to podcastfirstplayer.com/PvP store. You can look at all our brand new items. We've got X-Men related things, we've got other Marvel related things, we've got Batman related things, and we've got our brand new range, and that covers loads of different things, including clothing, mouse mats, mugs, clocks, soon to be aprons. And what's it called, Dan?
Quiet Facts.
Quiet Facts, and it's probably one of the best things we've ever made. This week's episode is brought to you by NYXI and their Hyperion Pro Joy-Cons for Nintendo Switch. The Hyperion Pro is the best Joy-Con replacement we've tested to date. They look fantastic, they feel better than stock Joy-Cons, and the Hall effect sticks ensure longevity of them will outlast Nintendo's offering, as well as other third-party brands that still suffer with the dreaded drift issues. The super comfortable and ergonomic grip allow for easy long-time gaming. The programmable RGB lights mean you can customize the controller to your particular taste, and the gamer's reflex macro buttons are available to give you an edge. Plus, the GameCube-inspired purple option and the green Legend of Zelda-inspired variant really make the controller stand out. All this, and using promo code PvP, you can get 10% off. Head over to NYXIGame.com or use the link in the description. Let's bring everything on a downer, Dan. Marvel Studios have lined up a writer for the X-Men Reboot movie. Sounds pretty good, right?
No, it doesn't.
Well, I'm just going to tell your name, Dan. Michael Leslie. Do you know who that is?
That name?
No, neither should it. So his previous credits include The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds, not the Hunger Games that we've seen. The new one, The Ballad of Songbirds.
Oh, wait, isn't that one rated really poorly?
Yes. The Assassin's Creed movie.
Oh my god, everyone's favourite game movie.
And the Little Drummer Girl TV miniseries, which I don't know what that is, so I've got no thoughts on it whatsoever.
Sure.
So, after watching the incredible X-Men 97, why they didn't just go with the writers of that, I don't know, but... This doesn't fill me with great news. Not to say this Michael Leslie can't make a good... Maybe he can make a good film. Who knows? But
well, considering this is your first, we've got the X-Men property back. This is bringing it into the MCU. This is the one. You'd think that they go, right, who have we got that's tried and tested and that could do something with this? A James Gunn for, big ensemble pieces.
Who's doing Deadpool?
Isn't it Tim Miller still?
I don't think he's directing it. I don't think he wrote it.
Oh, then I really don't know.
I could be wrong on that. Could be wrong. I should have researched this prior. But they seem to have a good grasp on the whole mutants and stuff.
Yeah, no, they've got a good grasp of writing good comedy.
Well, yeah, I mean, funny aspects aside, I mean, I'd take that person over someone who made the worst Hunger Games film and the Assassin's Creed movie.
Yeah, the Assassin's Creed one, that's really poorly rated. I don't know anyone who actually enjoyed it.
I don't think I even finished it. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep.
I've watched it twice, I think. But the stuff where it's, again, as with any Assassin's Creed game, when it's in the past,
yeah,
when you're in the Animus, that stuff's kind of great. Like, it's a lot of just sort of classic Assassin's Creed stuff, as people just get the shit kicked out of them and stabbed and jumping off roofs and whatever and do loads of sweet parkour. All that's great, but then it spends far too much time, as the games often do, in the modern day where it's just wandering around and not doing much.
Yeah.
But it's just... It should have been, a far more kind of like high-octane, cool adventure. and it's just kind of boring.
Yeah.
And a film about a game like that shouldn't be boring. It should be. You should feel like you're running across the rooftops, not sitting on a bench blending in.
Yeah.
And that's how that movie feels, where you just sort of just sat there not doing much. So that's obviously with any movie, with any TV show, with anything, like there is not one person that's responsible, whether it's good or whether it's bad. But if a name carries weight, as it does, they go, oh well, we got the director, as they are wanting to do. They put it in the trailer and go, from the producer of, you put in, okay, well then all the cinematography, all the sound design, all the lighting, all the grip work, all the catering, everything doesn't matter. Because this one person
this
has
person's
been
name.
Yeah, so that person, it's on them as to whether it works or not. And if they don't have a huge amount of faith in a project, that tends to be why they go from the executive producer of Fast and Furious 1 and Fast and Furious 3, and then one of the Aquamans or whatever. You go, well then, so you haven't got any faith in your film, so you need to go, oh, because the one person who's involved in this, or maybe just popped in on the day. Yeah. They did something with Transformers, and they did something over here, and they did something over here. So therefore, I should go and watch this one because it's going to be the same or as good. That always fills me with dread.
Well, they did it with... It's a really bad example because it's a good film, but Coraline was... The advertising for Coraline was from the assistant director of Nightmare Before Christmas. It's like... But the film's fantastic. You don't need that to draw people in. And like, I know they do it like. To be fair, a better example of it is Borderlands, where obviously Sony haven't got a fucking clue what they're doing when it comes to making movies, and the fact that they're doing the same thing for the Borderlands trailer, and it's like from the people that made Uncharted, the worst Spider-Man films, Venom. Fucking Morbius. Yeah. It's like, don't put them in the title.
All the things that the idiots like.
Yeah. It's shocking how really well, in terms of box office returns, those films performed. Yeah. Real fucking bad. I don't know if Madam Web was on there. Might have been.
I very much doubt it. I think everyone would want to distance themselves.
But it's made me think, Dan. Obviously, the X-Men films, no matter what lineup they use, they are a team-based. Like it's a team-based movie.
It has to be.
And
it's
I know
X-Men, not an X-Man.
We
movie.
say that based on the Fox films, where it was primarily about Wolverine and or Mystique, but
well, technically, it started about Rogue, and then everyone went, Wolverine's cool, isn't he? And then the focus has switched. I don't think that the first X-Men, it wasn't a Wolverine film. I think it's just... he was the highlight of that film.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't a big name then, though, was he?
No, he wasn't. And it was just... He was... I honestly don't know as to whether this is the case or not, so this could be just me, but it felt like everyone got about the same amount of screen time. It felt that there was more... Professor X Magneto stuff than there was anything Wolverine. And then it was just sort of like a Wolverine explosion. And he was the centre of everything. He's the Luke Skywalker of the franchise. And now everything, they go, we've rebooted the X-Men. We've got a brand new team, brand new cast. Here's Hugh Jackman again, though, because we still need him to be here in all of them, apparently, because that's the only way that people come back and watch these.
There's your name.
And you shouldn't have one person, regardless of their impact or involvement. You shouldn't have one person that's the draw.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure as well, though, for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that. Like if you're a producer, which can vary from your working 20 hours a day to you pop in 3 times a month just to make sure that everyone's okay, and then fuck back off again. And you are blamed specifically for the failure of an entire franchise or the reboot of an entire franchise. I wouldn't want to, I'd want to come in on like the second or the third Bond film.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do the new Bond film because then I'd be like, fuck me, I don't want that all to be on me, which means that every subsequent Bond film then is going to be tarred by the first one. So
it's not as bad if it's the third one as bad.
Because you go, well, it missed its mark, but that's all right.
But no, I agree on
this this is maybe the bar is so low at this point that they go, we could get a newcomer in, someone that we could sign up and start a good relationship because we've got faith that they may be able to lead a project that can.
Because when you look at it as like, I still think X2 is it's a good comic book movie. First Class is a good comic book movie. Logan is a fucking tremendous comic book movie. Both Deadpools have been good, and the third one's, well, the next one, because it's not the third one, but the up and coming Deadpool Wolverine movie it's set to be a great film. X-Men's still got to follow. That's going to be the one that it follows, not chronologically, just in terms of linking people together. And I don't know. I really thought Disney would just go, we'll pay whatever money we'll fucking get James Gunn in. It doesn't like we'll pay for anyone to just get this first one right.
Yeah, just do the first one right, and then you can take your risky moves. So they've got a huge amount of faith in this lad, which that's great if that's the case. And I hope that if you want to put everything on one person, then I hope he does his job and he does it well, and he goes, I know how much is riding on this and how much is riding on me, and I'll be hated forever by nerds, which some people just don't give a shit about that sort of stuff, but some people take it really fucking personally.
Oh, yeah. And if it's something you're passionate about, you're going to, though, aren't you?
Well, that's the thing. It depends on whether they pitch to take the project to say, I want to do this because this is my vision for it. Or they'll go, yeah, fuck it, I'll have a crack.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid, though, right? Yeah, cool, then I'll have a bash.
Money up front. But I mean, to be fair, he's only writing it as well, so there's a possibility whoever's directing it, the script could be fucking great.
Sorry, I thought you said he was directing it.
No. This will be the writer.
Well, again, it's not one person who goes, done. There's the whole film.
Yeah, it's all on a PDF on my phone. There you go. But again, like the actual story could be really good, and then the director fucks it up.
The casting could be terrible. It tries to be a Suicide Squad, and it's like, well, we'll do, we'll get 500 songs in there instead, or recognisable anthems, and we'll do it like a new Suicide Squad, New Guardians. And
that's what I'm afraid of.
They're built from oppression. Yeah. Like, that's a serious kind of topic as to where they kind of come from. It can't all just be, fireworks and lasers and fun times.
That's the thing that, because this is what really fucking pissed me off. Like, there's loads and loads of comments about about X-Men 97, about certain themes. What episode are you on?
I haven't got past 4 yet.
4. So there's basically like a lot of people whinging about things that it's typical all over the internet, and it's like about like people just being like homophobic and stuff like that, and that's literally what the X-Men is about.
Yeah, it's about the marginalised. Yeah. It's about those that have been put into a box because you are different in quotations, and that's it.
Yeah,
the difference being that they all have their own unique abilities or whatever, their own unique person and their own unique life, but they are just different.
Yeah.
Therefore, boo, in the bin with you. We'll protest you. We'll do whatever. And it's surprisingly true to life. Yeah.
That's what's always been the. I think that's one of the main reasons why X-Men itself has stayed relevant for a long time, because I think until mankind is wiped out and replaced with something far better, that kind of stigma and mentality is always going to be present, and it keeps it, whether it's set in the past like X-Men 97 or whether it's going to be set in present day like the newer X-Men. The newer ones were set in the past.
The newer ones were set in the past. The older ones were set in the future. Yeah,
that's where I was going. But yeah, so I want them to still capture that kind of feeling. I don't want it have some funny, like humorous quips in there, but not Suicide Squad level, not Guardians of the Galaxy level. It needs to be relatively dark and moody, really, because they're all miserable.
I mean, they all live in a school, for God's sake.
I'd hate
They've been oppressed and hated their entire lives, and they have The only place they get any freedom is in a school full of children. You're like, oh god,
They got their own
I want to use
basketball
my
court.
powers to blow up my own head.
Speaking of movies, though, Dan, good news. Kraven the Hunter, Sony's first R-rated Marvel movie, has been delayed.
It's cancelled. Oh,
No, just delayed.
so
Just delayed.
close.
However, I know we haven't got the highest of hopes anyway, but this gives me even less hope. I'm gonna read you this quote, Dan. Kraven moved to Christmas because we're excited about it, and Christmas is the best release period there is. Then you get people with time to go back to the movies over and over again. This was the director who told Collider. This was a real reflection of how the studio felt about the movie. We're really excited, but it's also a great movie that reflects just the feeling about the movie. This is about Christmas.
Sorry, say that last line again for me.
It's a real reflection of how the studio feels about the movie. We're really excited, but that's a great move that reflects just the feeling about the movie.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
It's a great move about how the feeling of the movie.
Yeah. And I've copy and pasted this from the article as well. But
I'll ask you a question, Callum, because I'm hoping that you've looked into this, but I don't know whether you have or not. What's the current trend of, like Christmas time is good for Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to go to the cinema to see a Christmas movie because it's on theme, it's on season, it's Frozen, it's whatever. How many R-rated films are released at Christmas time that are also super popular?
I would say the last one that springs to mind, which is also technically a Christmas movie, would have been Fat Man with Mel Gibson.
True, but that's also like a straight to DVD kind of deal. That's
No,
not
that
like
went to the cinema.
Really?
That was out at the cinema, yeah.
Was that like it was released in 23 cinemas across the world?
I couldn't tell you. But yeah, Walt Goggins, Mel Gibson, it was a good film. It was like Home Alone with big boys.
Big Boy Home Alone.
December release movies 23. Aquaman.
Not R-rated.
No. I'm just saying films that came out.
No, but they can't say, oh, it's this is the perfect time for us to release an R-rated movie at Christmas. Christmas is typically a family time to go out and watch your family movies. A Disney movie coming out at Christmas time would make sense.
Well, I've got a big
Minions one, a Gru one.
I got a big old domestic box office for December list, but it doesn't have the ratings of them. Did you know there was a Die Hard re-release last year?
What, like an upscaled one?
I don't know, but made a load of fucking money. December the 8th it came out.
Yeah, right.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
That would have been, I reckon.
Was that an 18? Maybe
It must have been.
maybe
like
15, maybe.
Robots or whatever. Maybe.
Oppenheimer. No, that was July. No, we're mostly looking at stuff. Oh, Godzilla -1.
That can't have been R-rated. It's a monster movie.
Nah, PG-13.
Yeah.
Nah, it's not looking likely, Daniel.
No, and that's my point, is that it doesn't scream this is the best time to release an R-rated movie just before Christmas. That to me says everyone's going to be off work, which means they'll have an excuse to go and watch it.
I don't know. It doesn't strike me. Now, this pains me to say it, but if this was Venom 3, then I could see that being the case.
Like, it's always, there's the summer blockbuster. It's never the Christmas blockbuster, is it?
No, because I'm paying for fucking Christmas presents. Like, I can't go to the
That's
cinema.
a really good point. People are skint at Christmas because they go, I've got 3 kids and I can either take me to go and watch a movie or I can spend that same money on buying them some stupid shit they're going to break within 3
So obviously
days.
you go to the cinema, but and then explain to them.
I would have watched a terrible Craven movie.
But that's the thing. It's not... Christmas is an expensive time of year for anyone. Like, all across the world. And it's not just money, it's time. Like, not everybody gets time off work and stuff. And that time that they do get off, like you say, they're going to want to spend it with the kids and family and shit. But if this was the new Avengers movie, then an argument could be had that you make it a thing. Then like me and Logan, we'd go and watch an Avengers movie at Christmas, but
do Marvel typically release their movies around?
no.
Christmas?
But I mean, it's a stupid time because it's Kraven the Hunter.
But yeah, I was going to say it's also unless any part of the film is based in or around Christmas.
Maybe that's what it is.
It's a Christmas movie.
Christmas. He's going around. He's killing,
punishing all the naughty boys.
Yeah, he's got his like the list that we see, that book where they basically just stole it from Arrow, the TV show. That's not the people he's going after. That's his naughty list. And then he's got a good list as well, and he delivers presents.
That would be a pleasant surprise if it turned out that
I think that could be better than the actual film.
He was an insane Santa. Yeah,
I've got a feeling they've looked. This was probably, I don't know when it was meant to come out, because I don't think they ever actually released the target period. But I've got a feeling it was when Deadpool and Wolverine's coming out.
Oh, so they've gone, fucking hell, we're never going to be able to touch that. So, yeah.
And they've looked through the year and just gone, well, there's any Christmas movies at Christmas, so it's as good a time as any.
CG some snow into some of the scenes. In the jungle, snow, fine, get it out.
Because again, it pains me to say it, but something like Venom 3 would stand a better chance against some of the bigger blockbuster films, because it has got its fan base. But especially after Morbius and after Madam Web, I can't see people taking a punt on a new Sony Marvel movie that hasn't got an established. I hate Venom, just putting that out there, but people like it for whatever fucking reason.
It's Tom Hardy, that's why.
Personally, I think he's the worst bit.
But it's not because they go, oh, this performance of Tom Hardy, this is the one I want to watch. They go, Tom Hardy, yeah, I know that name. I'll go watch him.
Yeah,
he's name hot. Again. I'll go and watch him. That'll be it.
Circling back to that name. Like the theme this week.
Yeah, because I can guarantee you, if it was some unknown that they'd cast as Venom and the movie was exactly the same, no one would have gone to see it and everyone would have hated it.
There wouldn't
have been a second one. I can pretty much guarantee you there wouldn't have been a second one.
No, it's because it's not. They must know it's not a good film. It's just made loads of money, so you'd be silly not to capitalise on that while you can. But just speaking of Tom Hardy, I was talking to someone the other day. We was just talking about old movies, and was saying like, when Logan was little, I didn't let him watch Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming, all the way through, because I thought Vulture was a bit too scary for him when he was little. So he'd have to like shut his eyes and I'd forward through the bits and then go from there. Obviously seen it all now. And I was saying, but it's really weird that I do that. When I was little, I was watching Terminator and RoboCop and stuff. And we were just talking about old films from there. And he mentioned the new RoboCop movie. He's like, what did you think of that? I was like with a lot of things, it's an okay film, but it's a really bad RoboCop film. And he said, he goes, you know what is a good RoboCop film? You've probably never seen it or even heard of it. But I can't remember what it's called. I went, that doesn't help me at all.
This film that you've probably never seen, and I can't remember what the name of it is. You'd like that.
And he goes, I can't remember for the life of me. It was really like underground, under the radar thing. It was Up something. I went, Upgrade. He goes, yes, Upgrade. Yeah, guy looks a bit like Tom Hardy, the lead guy. And he's like, yeah. And then we was on about that. And it's, where the fuck was I going with that?
You're talking about...
but that what you were saying was about if it wasn't Tom Hardy, then the Venom films would have gone on its head. Do you think if Upgrade did star Tom Hardy, that would have got a sequel?
I don't know if it would have got a sequel, but it sure as shit would have been a lot more people's radar.
Because it's a really good film. Right,
I loved it.
We really enjoyed it, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It was really,
but
really
I don't
good.
think taking him out and replacing him with another actor would have made too much difference, because the way that it's filmed, the way that the story is very simple. It is almost like a game in some elements.
Yeah.
But I don't think whoever played Sam, I think his name is, I don't think that would have made a huge amount of difference. But if they'd wanted to push that harder, if you'd have got someone like, a name in and had him do the same thing where he's fighting, but he's not really fighting. You would have got a much bigger draw to it. It's the same as like Dredd. Like Dredd, you got Carl Urban, and Carl Urban's great. Probably bigger name now than he was at the time, which is weird considering he would have been doing Lord of the Rings and he would have done Star Trek or one or two Star Treks by the time that...
Had he done Star Trek before Dredd?
Well, yeah, 2009, the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek came out. Yeah. So Dredd was like 2012, 14, something like that, I want to say.
Great film, though.
So good, but maybe not big, like his name not big enough to kind of carry it over the threshold to, oh my God.
Yeah, because the last one was Stallone. So.
True, but that was also 20 years ago at that point.
And dog shit.
But like again, if the marketing wasn't great, then but I was like, I remember seeing it on buses all over the place, and like billboards and stuff. Like I would have thought the marketing budget would have been enough to carry it, but maybe they didn't have enough from the producer or from the writer of.
This guy's going to be in one of the biggest shows Amazon's ever going to make.
Exactly, but that's the thing. I reckon if you were to do it now, everyone would be like, Carl Urban from Butcher, that'd be a sick film, wouldn't it? And then it would have got a sequel by now. And I know he's been banging on.
He's been pushing it for years,
for like a decade at this point. Yeah,
there was a question. They did a. I don't think it's Comic-Con, but it's that kind of thing. And Anthony Starr, Carl Urban, I think someone else from the boys is there. But when one of the people comes up to ask a question, it's all been like, "Oh, do you think Homelander could beat Superman? Do you think Billy and Homelander will ever proper duke it out and no holds barred and everything else?" And then this guy comes up and went, "Are you ever going to make another Dredd film?" And he's just like, "I'd fucking love to."
I'd say you get Anthony Starr in on it as well. And like get them all as judges. Absolutely, get the whole fucking cast of the boy. Put them all in judge outfits and get them running around shooting fools through the face. That'd be fucking banging. I'd love that.
That's another one for where it shows how much someone likes the property. Where you got Pedro Pascal, always fucking whinging about not wanting to wear the Mandalorian helmet and stuff. It's this thing. Shouldn't have took the job if you don't want to do it. Whereas Carl Urban, as a lesser known actor at the time of doing Dredd, and he's the one that pushed that he didn't take the helmet off, even though people can't see him. And that shows that someone understands not just the thing that they're portraying, but also the fan base for the medium as well. Yeah,
I'd say it's more of a challenge as well for an actor to be like, that's all people are ever going to see of you. Well, so that's the only thing you can act with. And like your delivery is, it's physical.
Yes, way harder. But that loops it back to Tom Hardy. I think Batman Rises is the worst of the Nolan trilogy. However, Dark Knight Rises, sorry. Tom Hardy as Bane, he just acts with his eyes for most of the film. He does a fucking great job. Same as Fury Road. Does a really good job in that.
And he says 8 things.
Yeah. But it's all, like I say, it's all physical acting rather than like talking and shouting or whatever. And that's why I think he's very wasted in Venom. I'm not saying he can't be a good Eddie Brock. I think he could be a good Eddie Brock. He's just not in these films. But again, that's the same with a lot of stuff. Harrison Ford's a much better actor than he is in any of the Star Wars films. They all are. They're all bad actors.
They're all pissed or high.
That's what I mean, like. You look back, especially when his voiceover stuff, like Mark Hamill's voiceover acting's so much better than his Luke Skywalker that he made his career out of. It's again, that could be put down to poor writing and everything else. However, Dan, at the weekend I watched 2 movies. I did it off screen. 2 movies. I watched the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare and Kong X Godzilla.
The New Empire.
Yes. I enjoyed them both. But you also watched Kong. And
I did.
I would like to... We haven't talked about it at all.
Well, we genuinely haven't.
We sent one text message where I wasn't happy about the fight.
You were just sort of like a mismatch and be like, he would have battered him.
Yeah, he would have. But I still stand by that. But I know it's a story thing.
Shut up.
But I'm going to come straight out with it, Dan. I hated it. But
I didn't enjoy it as much as any of the others. But there's one major thing that I'll say in its defense, and it's simply this, and it's what we talked about during the trailer, I'm sure, It was that they need to embrace the silliness of the sort of the Godzilla franchise. And to a big degree, they have done for this. You know, the psychic powers and, you know, weird dimensions and whatever. And it does feel silly. But if you go back to 2014 and you watch the first Godzilla for this franchise, what happened? The tone is so different.
That's... They were smoking just normal cigarettes for the first one. And then after that, it was mushrooms and anything they could get their hands on. It's got progressively more bonkers. But the thing I hate the most about this film, when we did... I think we might have done a spoiler cast on Kong vs. Godzilla. And
I don't know if it would have been spoiled. It might have been just during a podcast.
Yeah, we definitely did a video on it. But the worst thing about all of these films is the humans. By far, I hate them, and they're not why you watch a monster film. And that was a common thing that I saw in most reviews and in any kind of discussions or anything about these kind of movies. Always, fuck the humans off. We don't need to. We don't fucking care. We just want to see monsters fighting. And after that, especially when we saw this trailer, and the humans that we saw the most of was what's the tribe called?
The Iwi?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Iwa?
But there was a big focus on them, and I'm like, fair enough, because they're not. I mean, they are humans, but you know what I mean. They're not like New Yorkers and everything else. And I feel this film has got more human in than any of the other ones.
Well, do you know what I felt? Like, so something that I think was really good from the first Godzilla, and even though he was only in it for like 7 minutes or whatever it was, 14 minutes it might have been, and it was upped in King of the Monsters, was like the levels of destruction. It was people just getting flown apart. Everything was exploding. Things were on fire. Everything looked like, oh my god, this is just... Everyone's in peril. Everyone's about to die here. And then in this last one, even in sort of like Kong vs. Godzilla, where, you know, they tear up Tokyo, basically. Yeah. I think it was Tokyo anyway. It's in Japan.
I'm pretty sure
but, you know, there's an entire city that's just obliterated, basically, by, you know, Godzilla and Mecha Godzilla and Kong beating the living Christ out of each other. And that was great. I loved all of that. It's just sort of, it's just monsters monstering.
Yeah.
And it felt, but the thing is though, certainly from like the original Godzilla and stuff like that, there was so much sort of stuff from human level. Just sort of looking up, just being like, fucking hell, look at the size of this thing. Everything just felt powerful, and he was slow, but he was an unstoppable machine.
Yeah.
And now he's zipping about, and he's you know, he feels smaller. He feels smaller and nimbler, and you know, he fights another monster, and he's like, oh god, you got me. Never mind. Zap. Right, you've exploded.
This had more of a, you know, in Power Rangers when Rita makes the monster bigger. That's what this film felt like for all of the like it was well, and like the CGI was good and everything, but the only shot you really see with humans is when the Scar King, spoilers by the way, but for the Scar King, like the orangutan style Kong, and it's from his perspective, and you just see all the tiny little people.
Oh yeah, and they're just sort of, and he's like, argh!
Yeah,
I'm like, stamp on him. Start eating them.
He does nothing, does he?
Like that monster that he's in control of, like the ice beam thing, like possibly the most powerful thing that I've seen so far. This thing that can just like freezes Kong's arm into an absolute fucking shambles. It puts Godzilla into an ice cube, like, and you know he's supercharged by like 200% or whatever by killing that monster, and then just super absorbing radiation or whatever, and then going mad shit. That one seems like well, fuck me. If that was, you know, an actual threat, that would be like just freeze everything. Like it was just freezing the ocean.
That's what I was saying. That's what caused the last ice age.
The Ice Age.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
causing an ice age.
That's a worldwide thing, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and it's as in, I don't know if it's like the entirety of the world is frozen, but in essence, as far as I'm aware, it is.
And when it came out, that's what it started doing.
Yeah, it just shot an ice beam straight up in the air, and I was like, cool, you freeze everything. But it didn't feel like, that the humans are constantly in peril. It's just that they're, sort of like, we've made a suit of armour. Have you? This one guy who it took me the entire movie of going, I know this guy. Why do I know this guy? And I can't fucking recognise it. I can't place him.
Chipper or whatever his name was.
Trapper. It's the fucking guy from Legion.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Because I googled it and I was just like, Legion, of fucking course it is. Of course it is. But it's just he's a vet for a Kong, sure. There's just a lot of sort of like hand wavy, just like it's just him on his own. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Like they've got Iron Man tech, but there's no Iron Man.
Well, that's basically what it is. Because with that, again, that was one of the discussions when we did the what's that trailer show called, Dan?
Trailer Breakdown?
Yeah, whatever it's called.
Trailer chat.
Trailer chat, that's it. When we were doing our trailer chat for this movie, that was one of the things we talked about. Is like, are we going to get is Kong made it? Are we going to get a montage of him fucking soldering and everything else? But nah, they just drop it from a plane, lands on his hand.
But what I don't understand though, because like one, is it sort of like a like a life support thing or whatever? Sure, but it's lucky then that he only got his arm frozen if that's the only part that they made for him.
Yeah.
But I would have thought it'd make a bit more sense rather than just Monarch going, we spent like $1 billion to make a robot augment for Kong. It'd be like, do we really trust this guy as of yet? Like everyone, like, we know that he's the good guy, even though he's still responsible for hundreds, if not thousands, of deaths. Why would you go? It'd be like saying, well, what if Godzilla comes up against a monster that he can't quite tackle? We need a supercharger that we can give to Godzilla for him to protect us,
like a power bank.
But that would be the equivalent of getting a chimp in a zoo or a chimp that works in TV or whatever, and just go, well, he's a friendly chimp and he works with people. Let's get him some plasma things for his arms or whatever. That is still an animal that is not. It could just turn like that and then it kills everybody. And you go, oh shit! The one thing that's powerful enough to kill us all, we've made it even more powerful. So now we've got literally no chance of stopping it. And because it's so powerful, now nothing else can stop it either. Like, surely that's introducing. It's like giving lions like a neurotoxin or like a dart that shoots out that paralyzes their prey. Because then they would just wipe everything out.
I assume, and this is a. It doesn't explain it, and it just leads more questions. But I would assume a lot of the stuff they're banking on because, again, I can't remember her name, but the young girl could talk to Kong.
Yeah.
She can talk to Kong, so that I feel that it's one of them, like how Black Widow would calm the Hulk down, kind of thing. I assume it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, and that's why they're going, and she's like, Kong's cool. He's on our side, and they're like, cool, okie dokie, we'll help him, we'll build him stuff, and blah, blah, blah. So why aren't they putting armed detail on this girl? Because if anything should happen... Yeah, because
communicate to him.
If anything should happen to her, that's gone then. And he's going to be fucking livid.
And he's going to be annoyed. Yeah, of course he is. There's still quite a lot about it that I did...
Also, the soldier guy that gets eaten by the tree, he was in Andor and Coronation Street.
Really?
Yeah.
No way, I didn't know that.
He also dies in Andor, and I'm pretty sure he died in Coronation Street.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
But yeah, you were going to say.
Yeah, there's still quite there's some. It's silly, but it's not sort of like. It's still sort of like. Sorry, so it's like all the world's governments and this company that's got all these outposts and they're sort of like monster experts or whatever. Yeah, sure. A vet, the doctor who's in charge of all the Monarch stuff, one security guy and a child. Yeah, take this insane spaceship that can fly to another dimension with a giant gorilla. Yeah, that's fine. No backup.
Got
no
a guy who does a
nothing.
podcast. They'll be fine.
Oh, and the guy who does the podcast. I mean, I'm glad they got rid of his fucking children entourage, but why does he need to be there? What, you go, oh my god, I need you. You're the only one who thinks outside the box. This picture of these triangles that my daughter drew, does it look the same as this? Yeah, it does. Brilliant, you're a genius. He didn't solve anything. He just went, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And all the scientists, all the governments of the world would be like, yeah, these monsters are a real fucking problem for everybody, you know? It's not just you that's involved in this. Our cities are getting torn up constantly. We've had millions of people dead because of these fucking things.
Well,
why would you go and build a giant arm for one of them?
But I'd get it with the pictures. If she hadn't noticed it, and for whatever reason she went to see the podcast guy, or
he'd broken into her office.
Yeah, whatever. And the pictures fell on top of one another, and they're light, and it obviously that's how they saw it lined up. You go, huh? But like you say, she'd already solved it.
Yeah.
So there's no need to go there.
No, it's purely because that guy was in the last film, and she was a side character in all of the other ones, and now she's becoming a main character. But then that means that Millie Bobby Brown isn't in it anymore. The guy who plays her dad, he isn't in it anymore.
She's too big for it now.
Aaron, yeah, she is. But then what's his name? Aaron Taylor Johnson or whatever.
James Bond.
You know, yeah, apparently. Like he was in it. Elizabeth Olsen was it. Like, there's no main person that's sort of like, you know, the kind of the one that's running through. Like, you know, like even the silliness of Shia LaBeouf. He was always in the Transformers films. You'd be like, it's because of...
Till Wahlberg took over.
Oh, God. But then even still, they still had him as... He was the main human guy. You know, whether you liked him or not. You know, you go, oh, well, you know, he fixes them or whatever. There was kind of like the doctor, like the Japanese scientist, who was just sort of let them fight, let them just batter each other or whatever, that'll sort all this out. But then he nuked himself to resurrect Godzilla. So again, you go, okay, well, there's another one gone. Like, there's no... If you're focusing on the human characters, like...
Keep the same ones.
Try and keep the same ones, or at least the ones that are the most used.
Yeah. I mean...
Like, her as, like, the head of Monarch and her daughter being able to talk to Kong. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's the humans that you want. They should not be going on their own.
No.
With one guy. Hey, one guy with a gun. Do you want to come to this uncharted dimension?
I mean, mental. I assume, obviously, he's been there before, but...
I'm sure he has. But even in Skull Island, they had the good sense of going, you need to take, like, an entire squad of, like, Marines in or whatever, and then you can slowly pick them off with monsters and shit that they can't expect or whatever. Rather than just one guy eaten by a tree. Cool, well, no protection now then, I guess. Quick to the ship that can transform into other shit.
We should turn back and get going, really, because...
Oh, it's a good job that vet can fly a ship that can travel through dimensions.
I love that when they landed, before he gets eaten by the tree, land and obviously the ramp comes down, the doors open the locker, where all the guns are, and then there's only him that grabs one. There was
because the other ones aren't qualified,
14 guns there. The kid would have one. The fucking vet would have one. They'd all have one if it was me. I'd have 7.
Yeah, I'd be like, we've got it. Might as well use them because I literally don't know what I'm doing out there. Because if I did, I wouldn't have immediately gotten eaten by a tree.
Yeah, you do know what you're doing, and you got eaten by a tree. You fucking idiot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But, I was just going to say, with you mentioning Transformers, as bad as those films are, at least the bulk of the film is based around the Transformers, and your Shia LaBeouf and your Mark Wahlbergs are your side people, and they do that right at least. But I think that's actually even worse because you don't need them because Transformers can talk.
Yeah.
So they can carry the story on, whereas Kong and Godzilla and that obviously they don't speak, so you do need humans in it.
No, but they do still have their own, like, you know, there's a lot of them talking to each other and sort of like eye rolls and sarcasm and whatever. Like, there's a lot of emotiveness that goes on through it. Especially like when they're just sort of like, look, Kong's got his territory, and above on the surface world, Godzilla's got his territory, and they've got this like unspoken, stay there, you're all right. You come up here and I'll fucking have you. and then he does come up, and he jumps him, and he like slams him into a pyramid, like, I fucking warned you, mate. Like, that sort of like the interaction between them two, and like their sort of like team up, and like he like rides him into battle, and I was just like, that's fucking great. I love that.
It was brilliant. Like, also, those kind of stuff was good. Like, even when he's charging at him and Kong's just like, wait. Like, give me fucking 2 minutes.
Like in every, Batman, Superman or whatever, there's the one guy saying, I can explain I can explain it. And he's just like, no. You're going down, son.
I was expecting that when he's just like, Mothra. He's like, what did you say? He's like, Mothra.
I'll tell you what, Mothra was a nice little inclusion again.
It was, but it looked... I know it's all fake, but it looked fake.
It didn't look the same as again, I'm not sure if it was... well, there was a lot of sort of like when he sort of like got sort of stomping through Rome, and there was just a bunch of people running away, and I was like, oh, this just looks like a green screen that they're all just sort of running around from.
I did like him curling up in the Colosseum, though. That's his
Makes
bed.
sense. One little bed, and the entire Italian government's like, well, we can't do anything about it because we can't blow it up because it's the Colosseum.
Can't blow up. It's make him more powerful. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
leave him to it.
So he comes in, blows up the city. All the residents are like, "Okay, well, what are you going to do about it?" And go, "Well, nothing. Frankly, like, what do you want us to do about it?" Yeah. We start on him. He destroys everything. It doesn't work.
At the moment, everything he does is an accident. So just fucking.
Also, I like the fact that some countries did have a go at him. They just like the odd jet that just sort of flew threw a few missiles at him. It's like again, it's like Superman. He's been around for 10 years. Everybody knows who Superman is, and he goes to stop a bank robbery, and someone shoots him with a gun. Yeah. And you're like, mate, you know that's Superman. You know that's not going to do anything. Yeah. Why would you do the one thing that you know definitely doesn't work? So you go to a country and there's a giant monster. You go, right, okay, well, we all know about the giant monsters now because we're all tracking them. We all know where they are. And the one thing we know definitively is that we can't do anything against them. Yeah. They keep to themselves. And if they start to get a bit too bloody rowdy, this guy will come in and he will beat them back down. But we know we can't do anything against it. Yeah. We just have to deal with it. But let's go and shoot him in the face anyway.
But there are people that can make things that are powerful enough, like a glove. So,
but I get it if they said, well, do you know what? Because someone took the time and the effort and the money to build Mechagodzilla, so all we did was just disassemble it and go, well, we can't have another Mechagodzilla running around. But I'll tell you what, these parts are pretty advanced. It'd be a shame to just waste these. Well, how about, we know that Kong's at least intelligent. He's controllable to some degree. We could go here, do this, hit him, whatever. Yeah. How about we make him some gear or a battle suit or something like that out of Mechagodzilla parts? Because then that way we don't have to spend any money ourselves. Yeah. We've already got the pieces. We just change them slightly or whatever to fit him so he can go around. And then you can give him a bloody laser cannon on his arm. Yeah. That sounds like it'd be handy, doesn't it?
But do you think that'll be the next thing? Do you remember in the Transformers cartoon back in the day? You had the kid that was the Shia LaBeouf-esque person who had a suit that he used to get in. Do you reckon we'll have that in a newer one? So the human will become he can punch Kong or he can punch Godzilla.
I mean, they've already done that.
Not Mechagodzilla doesn't count.
No, in Rise of the... Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about Transformers, sorry.
No, in this, in
Oh, like a big avatar. Well, then you're just looking at Pacific Rim.
No, yeah, that's what it'd be, wouldn't it? Yeah.
So in the Pacific Rim universe, there's these giant monsters that are coming out. We don't have our own giant monster that's going to go fight them, so we've got to build giant robots to go and kill them instead. That's definitely the most efficient way of doing it. Not a giant laser cannon in space or whatever, but whatever. But then it would, like, the humans, they're going, right, there's nothing we can do about this, so we're not going to build Jet Jaguar, we're not going to build, a giant mech robot or whatever, because that's ridiculous. But we can build some parts that can, like, enhance the one guy that we can at least somewhat trust. But yeah, so there's a whole bunch of new Kongs, like there's a new Kong
colony.
King.
None of them looked as good, though.
Kongli.
Kongli.
Maybe. Just a bunch of slave Kongs, I guess, digging their way out of
Yeah.
this thing that Godzilla's trapped him in or something.
Well, that's what it was from the last. The story that it tells you on the wall is he only just about managed to survive and beat them and whatever. But I didn't like the idea of having all these Kongs. Just don't know. Just didn't. It seemed like a lazy writing. I don't know. It didn't progress the story along any. And now he's just king of all these smaller Kongs now.
Well, now they've got a reason to call him King Kong because he's king of the Kongs.
Yeah. But yeah, because he was always the last one, wasn't he? I don't think there's.
But that's just because the rest of them were just trapped in a box.
I suppose. I'm not. To be fair, I've never gone mad into the monster movies and stuff. Like I've seen them, but I couldn't tell you lore or anything else. Maybe that's always been the case, and he's always been a king of a.
Well, they do it all the time. It's like, oh, it's the last of the species. It's the last of blah 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 blah, and it's like, oh wait, here's 10 more.
Suppose.
Like that's always the thing because that's how they make sequels. Because they go, well, you thought you were the only one, but guess what? You're not. And here's a bunch of mates for you to play around with. But there's so as part of like because I'm going to be watching Kingdom of Rise of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes or whatever it is. Like the new Planet of the Apes. Kind of a left field for me. So I've rewatched Dawn, Rise, and War for the Planet of the Apes. And I tell you what, after watching War for the Planet of the Apes and then Kong X Godzilla, the Kong monkey, like monkey's not a monkey, it's an ape. Like the ape-isms.
Yeah.
They are so not good. Like if you look at like how all the monkeys move and talk and interact with each other and all the facial expressions and how everything, it's just like, oh my god, it's like they just got experts to apes. Not plenty of the monkeys, is it?
They aped them.
Yeah, very good. But it's like they said no, this doesn't work, and Andy Serkis is obviously a big proponent to that. And he's King CG Ape Man, really, isn't he? Like he knows all about. He's studied them. He knows exactly how. Like that's a lot of knowledge that you could pass on to people who are doing other ape stuff. And it's everything about those movies feels real to some degree. And again, that's not to say that it's this Kong doesn't look like he doesn't look as good. He doesn't look as good as like the apes in.
No, I mean
Planet of the Apes. He doesn't look as good.
He looks fine, but I suppose in Warner Brothers' defense, the Kong isn't based on a current ape. It's a fictional geome. Is that the right terminology for it? Yeah. What is it when it's like a subset of a species? What's the word I'm thinking of?
Subspecies.
We'll go with subspecies. That's not the word I'm looking for, though. It's a made-up one. So maybe this did lean towards a more human-esque
again,
thing,
I'm not saying like this doesn't look like a real, but like the effort that's gone into making the Planet of the Apes movie, like there's something just so believable about it, and it doesn't feel like one of those that's just 100 feet tall. It feels like its own thing, but it just doesn't feel as apish as those ones are. But there's a lot of sort of like there's a lot of intelligence around him. But probably the best thing that happened in that film, Callum, there's only one thing. Like I say, there's a few things I'm sort of like. No, it's one thing that I'm just like, I think I'll remember that for the rest of my life, and it's. There's a lot of sort of cool fight scenes. Godzilla underused, quite frankly. He just sort of rocks in every now and then. It's not about him anymore. But there's some cool fight scenes, there's some cool special effects, and there's a lot of good things in it. But it doesn't feel as impactful as some of the previous ones, maybe. Maybe because everyone isn't terrified of them, like absolutely shitting your pants, terrified of these things.
It's more of a Godzilla's back.
Yeah, it's just sort of like, right, sound the alarm, right, another one, everyone in the basement, come on. Maybe it's that's kind of thrown it off from the human side of things a little bit. But, I mean, even the Monarch show, that was really fucking good. But that was also because... No, I haven't finished. I think I got a bit further along than you did.
I think I watched 4, I think.
But that was still, it was like in the 60s or the 70s or whenever it was. And they have literally, like, they kind of go, yeah, we kind of know there's monsters, but they don't know what to do with them. They don't know how to deal with them. Like, everything's a terrifying mess.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of, made it a bit more intense to look at it from the human side of things. So you'd be like, well, any of these is going to kill you immediately. You've got to think them. But with this one, there's some cool set pieces, but it just doesn't feel like the monsters are... It kind of does feel like they're a bit more... Not just guys in suits smashing up cities. It
ain't
feels
far
just
off.
like... It's more sort of like, it's about the lore and it's about the story now and it's about trying to save all the Kongs or whatever. I'm just like, just make them fucking fight each other in a big, plastic toy. But there's one bit in that film that I think will sit with me for the rest of my life, and I hope you know what it is.
In a good way.
I think so. In the fact that I was laughing my tits off at it.
A funny bit. Intentionally funny, or...
I don't know, but it fucking made me laugh.
Honestly, don't know.
So, when Kong is in the new, like, subterranean Hollow Earth bit, like, there's a new unmapped bit, and he goes down into a cavern, and there's a little baby orangutan baby.
Oh.
I mean, I suppose it's supposed to be son of Kong, but obviously it's absolutely
not. I know. Yeah, I know what bit you're going to say there.
And he leads him into a little trap with the other Kongs, and they sort of have a little fight. And then the baby Kong attacks him, and he holds him by his leg and batters the other, and then throws him into a rock. And I was like, "That's hilarious! Like, that is fucking brilliant." This child that just griefed you for a bit, and he was like, "Well, fuck you, kid! Bang, bang, bang!" That absolutely had me rolled in about, because I didn't expect that. I genuinely did. That was so funny.
There was a couple of bits I liked for different reasons. That bit that I completely did forget about that, to be honest, but that was a good bit. I liked the showing his smarts in different ways. So he's made traps throughout the his home and stuff, and then he's got backup traps in case those traps don't work. But then he's also, when he's got his toothache, he climbs up to alert them. So just go, fix my fucking tooth.
Yeah, it's just like call the guy from the Legion to whip his tooth out.
Pulls this one out, and he's just got
another one.
He's just got this one that can bite. Because again, that was another thing that had no payoff, where they made a big deal of pointing out that thing can bite through anything.
Yeah,
and they didn't bite through anything.
I think they did a bit where the Scar King kind of lifted his lip up and pointed at it. It was just like, "Ha, you're not a proper. You look at you. You've been repaired. You've been fixed. You're a part of their world, or whatever. You're a failure." That's the only part I think it was addressed in. I'm assuming that he was doing more punching rather than biting, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, but
although when he knocked that fucking Kong out that made me go, what a dickhead. Because he's screaming in his face, and it's just POV, and he goes bang, and just knocks him clean out. Great.
I know it was that bit would have been put in for laughs, but the animation of the punch was really shit because it was literally just a straight hand out, and Kong wouldn't do that. He would grab him and at least headbutt him or bite him or maul him or swing, but he wouldn't just go.
I think it's a comedy punch.
Yeah,
it's someone giving you grief and then you just knock them out in one punch.
It's the Hulk and Thor thing.
Yeah,
when he's just there and he just punches him off to the side. But again, Kong would batter the Scar King. I know he had the little fucking pendant.
I think that kind of throwing him off, just sort of he could just get an ice in the back without even thinking about it. But I think he was way more agile. He was sort of doing flips and bends and stuff like that. He's shown to be quick in this, as in he can swing quick and he can punch that dude in the face real hard. But if you've got someone who's Spider-Man around, if you're just swinging wildly, you're never going to catch. And then he's got range on you as well, so he's got a whip that he's just twatting you with.
But again, he could have grabbed that, which he did, to be fair. He could have pulled him in from that. Because he's going to be way stronger.
Yeah, if they'd have said, like, it's got blades on it or whatever.
Yeah.
So if he tried to pull it, he like scratched his hand up or whatever.
Because I did think that's how he was going to lose his... I thought he was going to lose his hand. Or injury.
Yeah, I was waiting for, like, how is this going to... Because I assumed he would use that and, like, cut his arm off.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be, yeah.
Mm.
But again, as is the case with a lot of these kind of films, the other ones don't look as good. And I know you pointed out that Kong... The CGI is nowhere near as good as Planet of the Apes CGI. But I think that the little orangutangy Kong, the Scar King...
Didn't look great.
They all looked fake as fuck. And I know that's putting money into... You've got your two main ones. You've got Godzilla, you've got Kong. They need to look the best. And then they do compared to the other ones.
They do,
but
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The other, they just look real fucking bad. Like,
especially just like the group of generic Kongs.
It doesn't help that there's nothing to blend in. So like in Skull Island, you had a lot of... Not stealth, but... A lot of the creatures there'd be a swamp or there'd be trees and stuff like that.
They've adapted to their environment. Yeah,
there wasn't really anything for the Kong tribe because it was just a cavern. So,
but they know, but they're trapped there though. To be fair,
no. I just mean like you can be smart with your CGI in masking
like that's the thing.
imperfections and
I
stuff.
think they have been, but they go. It's a dark cave that's lit by lava. So if the CG doesn't look great, there's no natural light. There's no humans interacting with them to make them look worse.
But
like,
you got Kong though, and Kong looks a million times better.
Yeah, true. But he's either he looks way bigger than everybody else as well, and he looks like he's absolutely been through the fucking ringer as well. Yeah. I mean, I know that he's like fought Godzilla hand to hand and a giant robot, and he's probably done a lot more than those other Kongs combined. To be fair,
yeah.
Which is why they're just no threat to him. But when you have to call in the big guns, which is some ice titan that caused an ice age, yeah, that's when you know that, yeah, he probably could batter this guy. If he got hold of him, he would probably knock him the fuck out.
So that's why stretch him by his arms and pull his arms off.
Yeah.
I mean, he smashes him up.
Yeah, he does. I think it was... It's not like when, it's just sort of like it was Godzilla going up against like Rodan and Ghidorah, and it's just like, oh my god, this thing that just like flies across the city, and a city just devastated in its wake. Like, it lives in a volcano. It's this absolutely like, oh my god, it's the worst thing in the world. And now it does seem more. It's like, it's almost like One Punch Man, where they're just sort of like, oh, there's another thing on the loose. Everybody, don't worry, we'll get the superheroes in. They'll sort it out. Everyone just don't go to school today. Because your school's probably been destroyed already. Like, it seems a bit more casual. Like, no one's sort of absolutely shit pants scared because like there's another Titan. It's just like, well, let's just run to the Titan basement. You'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it does sound like we're shitting on it a lot. I've seen way worse films.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I genuinely still enjoyed it. It was silly and it was funny, and I want the silliness. It's just the fact that the logic behind it doesn't make a huge amount of sense.
I mean,
like, there's like
throw logic out of the window.
No, I don't mean to sort of like that gorilla's heart. I wouldn't handle it. I mean, like the fact that Monarch they're okay with just one team of completely ill-equipped people to go in to the Hollow Earth to save the world or whatever. Nonsense.
Yeah,
like the fact that. The fact that like, because they're just sort of like, the UN or the NATO or the government or whatever, they're sort of breathing down their necks to take control. Why haven't they?
Yeah.
Why haven't they said, you've done a good job in measuring everything, however, we're the entire collective of the world's government, we'll take it from here. Because we have the firepower and an infinite source of money in order to kind of take care of this sort of stuff.
But it always insinuates, in all of the other films and the show, it's insinuated that, not insinuate, but it gives the impression that Monarch is bigger than stuff like the UN.
But no, it was always a shady organisation. It was always, no one believed them, no one trusted them. They were, Section 31. They were Sector 7, if you want to think of it in Transformer terms. They're like a shadow company. God knows how they made their money, but
investors, Bitcoin,
probably Bitcoin. They invented Bitcoin. But as soon as as soon as something like that happens, where they go, "Oh shit, you're right," they go, "Right, okay, well you're just a company, so we'll just take over that if that's all right." Like, because you don't have any say in the matter, because we will just send the army in, and whoop, there you go. It's like the Ghostbusters. That's what I never understood about the Ghostbusters, right? The Ghostbusters only work whilst you can't prove that ghosts exist. Yeah. Because as soon as you go, oh shit, there are ghosts, and you go, okay, well the government's going to come in and say, we're going to need that ghost-busting technology, please.
That's ours now.
Because now that we know that shit, there are ghosts and they are going to cause problems, whatever. Because instead of 4 people handling all of this, we'll get the National Guard. We'll get them all Ghostbuster packs. Yeah. And we'll make it way safer because we'll get our top people on it.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, as much as people are anti-government and everything else, once you've got all armies are equipped with proton packs and everything else, it's going to be a lot easier to take these ghosts down.
Ghosts aren't going to be a problem anymore. When you got an Apache helicopter with a proton pack that's built into it, just
kind of ruins the film a bit then, though, I'll be honest.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's not as if you go, well, I've got a trademark on these, so I've got a patent on it, so you can't have it. They go, well, fuck that. We'll give you $10 million each as 4 scientists, and they go, well, 3 scientists and a dude, but they go, I mean, we can't really turn that down because that's silly money. Because they go, well, we're the American government and we give you, how about 50 million each?
Yeah.
How about 50 million a year for the rest of your lives? And they go, cool, then we don't have to bust ghosts anymore, we can just retire. We've done the research, we know where there's the least amount of ghosts, we'll go there. That's where I'll live, and you can sort out the ghosts here.
But they get everything they want. They want the ghosts gone because nobody's catching these ghosts. That's why they're doing it. And then they get paid fuckloads of money, and they don't have to do anything, but it still gets done. So, and they still, why wouldn't
they were like, oh, the ghost busting revolution. You guys started that. You're heroes. Yeah. You're legends forever. So why wouldn't the government have come in and just taken over Monarch? All their research stations. Like, but they could come in with a whole, we'll just do it. We'll make it better. We'll take care of the Kong or whatever. Even though, as always, they'll be like, I need you to put a chip in its brain that if this thing does anything dodgy, we can blow its brain off immediately, and there's nothing we can do about it. And then it's the government falling over themselves because they can't deal with Godzilla, and that's when they need to get the cool scientists back in or whatever. But they would have been taken over. Like, they would have been crackpot scientists until Godzilla popped out, and then it went, fuck, okay, you were right then, let's get you back in and give us all your research and we'll take it from here.
Yeah.
And been muscled out immediately. That's how it would have happened.
Most things, to be honest, isn't it? A lot of films do it.
Yeah, but it's just the fact that they in this film, certainly, where, again, Godzilla's sort of like crossing the planet almost to get to Kong, and then there's another Kong that jumps out and does a bit of messing about on the beach in Rio. The fact that there wasn't like an immediate response just makes me think that it's like like when it's in like Independence Day or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, oh, thank God, the Americans have figured it out. Like the rest of the world was just going, well, we'll just wait for America to figure this one out. Oh, Jeff Goldblum's fixed it. Phew. It's that kind of patriotism. Whereas this, it's just sort of like, oh, the monster company, they'll take care of it. Yeah.
That's what they do.
We'll sit on our laurels. But I would love to see like a UN meeting where it's just sort of like they go, right, how do we tackle these monsters? And then they figure out, they go, oh, we can't. So whenever there's a big monster attack, we'll just get everyone out the fucking way.
Because I think you can do.
We can't do anything, so we'll just wait for Godzilla to turn up. Like we just turn on the machine that calls fucking Godzilla. We'll just turn that on. He'll come a running. He'll take care of the monster, and all we got to do is just clear the streets.
We'll get everyone's house will be equipped with the same balloons from Up, so
you just get jettisoned into the sky.
Yeah. But no, I mean it was an okay film. I probably won't watch it again. I have watched Kong versus Godzilla, Godzilla vs Kong, whichever way around it is. I've watched that a couple of times. I watched the first Godzilla a few times, and I watched Skull Island a few times. And King of the Monsters, watch that. I think I've only seen King of the Monsters twice, actually. But this, I don't think I will ever watch again.
I think maybe I will, but I feel like I've seen it through and gone, that was okay, but I don't get the sort of like, oh my God, I can't wait for him to have to deal with this
Yeah.
Like where Ghidorah's like he's like a god level threat, like lightning storms terrorize, like everything is just the worst around it, and it's just like fucking hell. How's he even going to deal with this? We've got to nuke him to get him on his feet to get in. And the same with Godzilla versus Kong. Like them going at each other is great. As soon as you skip past all the fucking podcasty, teenagers going to Hong Kong, all that nonsense. You skip all of that and you just cut all of that out. It's genuinely a fun monster movie.
Yeah, yeah.
We're just then battering each other and oh my god, it's Mechagodzilla and he's here and lasers and whatever. And everyone is still just sort of running around going, well, nothing we can do.
Yeah.
Just clear the streets, that's it. Whereas this, it felt like it was just, there was 6 people that worked at Monarch and they were the ones who ended up going to the Hollow Earth and saving everybody as well. And everyone else just chilling on the beach. Every day would be terrifying. Like, what terror is going to come from out of the ground?
People weren't allowed to leave the houses because of COVID. So if there's Godzilla running around, you wouldn't be allowed out.
God. Absolutely not. And if you go, well, we'll put you in a basement. Well, it doesn't matter if he stands on it, you're crushed.
Well, I assume
go to the tallest building in the sea. Doesn't matter if he hits it, he falls over. There's no getting past him.
But that's the thing. Like they would have to build worldwide, like underground bunkers that are. I mean, he could still put his foot through the ground, theoretically, but he's less likely to do that than he is to knock a building over. But
yeah, I do like
that's been done there.
No, the more sort of like, he's crossing, like when he's sort of like walking through a city or whatever, and they are just, it's nothing. They're just walking through it, like they're not going like, oh, just better step around these buildings. Don't want to squish the humans, do I? They're ploughing through, but it just doesn't feel as impactful anymore.
Nah, not compared to the other ones. This week's episode is brought to you by NYXI and their Hyperion Pro Joy-Cons for Nintendo Switch. The Hyperion Pro is the best Joy-Con replacement we've tested to date. They look fantastic, they feel better than stock Joy-Cons, and the Hall effect sticks ensure longevity of them will outlast Nintendo's offering, as well as other third-party brands that still suffer with the dreaded drift issues. The super comfortable and ergonomic grip allow for easy long-time gaming. The programmable RGB lights mean you can customize the controller to your particular taste, and the gamer's reflex macro buttons are available to give you an edge. Plus, the GameCube-inspired purple option and the green Legend of Zelda-inspired variant really make the controller stand out. All this, and using promo code PvP, you can get 10% off. Head over to nixigame.com or use the link in the description. Well, I'm just going to remind everyone to go to podcastversusplay.com. It's all going along the bottom of the screen. But check out the store, check out the other stuff that we've done, including more podcasts, spoiler casts, let's plays, loads and loads of other things. We've got some new reviews coming up, so they will be up in the not too distant future, including this Huawei Watch Fit 3 that arrived today. So
woohoo!
That'll do a week of testing with this and then get a review up, and then some other bits and bobs. Dan,
yes.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.